Welcome back to KickBack. My name is Ben, and we are presented by CMHA, Brant Haldeman, Norfolk. I'm now joined by Jon Pooley. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We've been trying to connect for since last KickBack.
Yeah, so for about a year now.
Right, and I think a lot has happened, but I'm really excited to have you here at Hudson Public to hear about your story. Let's go back to the beginning. You shared that you had a heavy season in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about what that heavy season was before you found your internet fame?
Yeah, it was, you go through, like I grew up in an era where it was kind of like you just tough it out, right? And it's just like you got to figure it out, and there was no such thing as mental health or any of these things. So I was just coasting through life thinking I had it under control and I had all these things handled, right? Wife, three, beautiful boys, a career, a good career, friends, all these other things in my life. And I was like, I'm doing a pretty good job. And then one day I just had this thought that I've never had before. And it was a pretty, to be like fully candid, the psychotherapist I saw said it was a suicidal ideation. So it's not like a full thoughts of suicide. It was something where I wasn't thinking like of what I would do. It was just like to a point, but that was enough to scare me. And I kept that inside for a little bit. And then just one day I opened up to my wife because I thought it was a sign of weakness, right? And especially to my wife, like I'm supposed to be the man, the supporter, all these things that I thought was the norm. And it was just, I had some wine and I felt like I was gonna just blurt out what I blurted out, what I told her, and just that I've been having thoughts of no longer being alive. And then from that it transpired into what it is today, pretty much from that one conversation. Right.
And what was it like was it a relief to have shared that with your wife at that time?
No, I was embarrassed. And then I remember waking up the next day, I'm like, she's gonna leave me. Like, I'm not, and like everything, again, since I was young, to that point was just like, you have to be a man. You have to be, and I always struggled with my masculinity because I sang a lot, right? And wore tight pants and like all these things. And I thought that wasn't masculine for whatever reason. And, so I always struggle with that and like trying to like be overly masculine. And when I did that, when I told her that, I remember I just went to bed and then I woke up the next day. I'm like, she's gonna think I'm weak. I'm not this man. I'm not this provider, this supporter. My kids are gonna think I'm weak. It was just like this weird place I went into. And then my wife very quickly showed me that it was actually quite the opposite. At that point, she was like my strength when I felt weak and completely gave me a 180 on what I thought it was to be a man and a human being in general.
Right. Well, and it's interesting too, like exactly how you worded that. That's supposed to be what like partnership is, right? Is when we are down, our partner is hopefully up and able to lift us up and back. But for whatever reason, as men, stereotypically, we often feel the need to wear the brunt or like carry the weight of the majority of that, and it's just so strange that like why would we expect anything like other than like a supportive partner to be there, right?
And I think it's always been like that through like, when I watch movies or I read books, like all these other things, it's just always been, the man is this, the man is that, the man is this, there has to be that, right? And like getting that just always in my brain, just having that open, like it's so simple, it's just talking, and then you realize that it's really not, in most, I can't talk about everyone's situation, but in most situations that's not the case. And even with a lot of people I've talked about my work, because once I went up to my wife, then it was just the floodgates. I was talking to everybody about it, and you realize just how many people are feeling the same, but they don't talk about it, right? Because they think that they're going to be looked at as, weak or whatever, and it's like, I don't know the other side of it, like from the female perspective. I just know, like, again, from the male perspective, and it's just like the stigma of weakness, right? And it was just strange, the eye-opening conversations I was having with people of who I thought had their lives together, and people who I thought were just the happiest, and they were like, I've had some dark days too. Like it was very it's very strange in a very in a good and positive way.
Right, and so how empowering was that for you on your journey to be able to start to speak and share openly with like anybody that would listen, it sounds like?
Well, what I did was my wife convinced me to go to therapy, and I went to Brant Mental Health Solutions, and Patricia, she was a psychotherapist, she was amazing. I was initially just going to say, I just need 2 weeks to refresh, and she's like, no, you need a lot longer. So it ended up being 6 months that I was off work. But I remember I went back to work, my day job, and if you're sick or if you're hurt and you're very open to say like, oh, like why are you off sick? Oh, I broke my leg, you know, or I broke my arm, or I had the flu,
Right.
right? But when it's something like mental, you're just like, oh, you don't really talk about it. So I was like, you know what? I took some time off because like I just lost myself for a bit, right? And I just, you know, I wasn't feeling good in my head, right? And then the response that I got from that was like, me too, man, right? And then the other one was, oh yeah, me too. And then I was like, wait a second, if these two people that I talked to, right, for whatever reason I told them are having these responses, like maybe more people have it. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to put it up on Facebook, and I didn't want it to be more like, you know, looking for sympathy. I just said, this is my journey. You guys see me singing and dancing on my socials, right? But this is what I'm really dealing with behind the scenes. Just want to let you know. I tried to I put it so nobody could comment because I didn't want like, oh, you know what I mean, like the sympathy and stuff. But I put it up there, and that just went off. And I got so many DMs, messages from people, like I said, that I thought had it all together. People that I looked up to, and I used to sit there and be like, you know, am I not normal because these people are so happy? Why am I not happy? And it turned out that they were dealing with their own stuff, and they all opened up to me. And then it just even my friend group, like my boys that we grew up with, like through all that stuff, through that toxic masculinity era, was they were upset that I didn't reach out to them. All right, and then now our group is like, we have our, you know, our gag where we talk about sports and all these other things, but then if somebody's not feeling well, they'll pop something in there and say, hey guys, like I'm having a rough week, and then we all just kind of, you know, do what we got to do, or like we'll have like a beer online, like because we're all like separated, we'll have like a virtual beer, and so that opened up like that space as well too, right? So it was just very eye-opening. It was a relief, and it was just like I said, it was just a very strange, positively strange, and like overwhelming almost experience.
And can you share about the videos that you create and post it online, and how did that start? So were you creating them before you had, Yeah, I would just sing, like I would just sing randomly, because I've always sang, my whole family's involved in music. But this, one of the key things that Patricia said, and it's so simple, and you know, that's what happens. She said when you're foggy, right, and you need somebody to help clear that fog, was that you just got to do what you're passionate about. And I love sports, right? I love my family, I love my wife, and I love singing. And I pursued music when I was younger, but then, you know, she was my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, and she got pregnant, and then I was like, I got to get a real job, right? And I got to, you know, do whatever I can to provide for them. So that took kind of like a back seat. And when I came back, I made a song when I was doing the dishes, and it was just a funny one. And then when I came back, I remember what she said, and I was like, I'm just going to record it. And it was about like bus driving, right? It was just something funny. It was an Usher remix. And I was like, I'll just record it just for fun. And I put it up, and then immediately it went viral. Like within an hour, it got 10,000 views. But then some of the responses were negative, right? And just because I guess I've never seen a singing bus driver, so I got scared. I didn't want to lose my job over, you know, singing a song. So I took it down, and then I just had some conversation. I put it back up, and then from there, I enjoyed that like dopamine rush of, you know, everyone's like, oh, this is so cool, this is so fun and all that. And then I was like, let's do some more. And then I did a bunch more. Then I did an Usher cover. Then that one did well. And then I did a Drake one. And then the Drake one was what happened with him. And then I did another one. Then from there, it just kind of took off. And for those that don't know, what was it that happened with Drake?
I sang a cover of his song. Just because my wife, like, we're Drake like fans in my household. My wife is like a huge Drake fan. And the day before I did it, she's like, if I ever meet Drake, can I shoot my shot? And I was like, sure. Sorry, shoot your shot. We're never going to meet him, right? Like, whatever. And then I was at work, and I was thinking, she doesn't need Drake. She's got me. I can sing Drake. Right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to prove it to her. So then I sang the Drake song, and I posted it for her. And somehow he got wind of it, and he reposted it. And he shared it with everybody, and said dialed in or something. And then, you know, the social media world, they really enjoyed that, and the city of Toronto really enjoyed that. So he just took my cover, he shared it, and that was it. And then I just had the realization, I'm like, shoot, I just told my wife, if we ever meet Drake, shoot her shot. I'm like, now here he is sharing my stuff. I'm like, I'm going to be in a very weird predicament soon, I don't think. But no, we haven't met yet. Like, we have, I have a lot of support from all his, like a lot of, I think pretty much everyone except for maybe one or two of his crew follow me. They're very supportive. So it's been, that was like the one thing that kind of sent it to a different trajectory.
Awesome. And what has that meant for your mental health journey, to be able to share and create these videos and to get that response?
It's at first it was kind of like, shoot, I should have been doing this the whole time. But then I'm very happy with how my life turned out, because I feel like I'm a firm believer that if I went this path, then I wouldn't. There's a potential that, like the butterfly effect, I guess is what I call it, would have changed my, could have changed my future. But having that like unique experience, it made me feel, because one of my other things I struggled with was like I felt like I wasn't unique. I felt like I was just, you know, that if I was gone tomorrow, my wife, and my kids would miss me, and the world wouldn't care.
Right.
And like the TTC or where I work wouldn't, you know, it's not going to stop working because one guy's gone. It's still going to keep running. Buses are still going to go, and it gave me that like uniqueness, that kind of like, hey, that's pretty cool. You know, that cool story. And then for my kids, for my wife, for my friends, everyone who's ever supported me, and then you know all the new people that have started to follow me, it was like, this is pretty cool. Like, and it let me know that maybe I could have been, you know, I could have had my dreams come true. And then at the same time, it made me realize that maybe there's still a possibility to pursue my dreams. Right. So it was just like a very wild, you know, mix of potential roads I go down and like emotions and like all positive. Right. And then, like I said, the sad was like, man, I should have been doing this whole time. But then, you know, I just think about like I wouldn't have my kids. I don't think I had my kids if I was a, you know, pop star.
Right. Yeah.
So Justin Bieber made a good point. He said he saw everybody else and they looked so normal, and he thought the one that was not. And it turns out that it's really not like that. Right. So just harping pretty much on that.
Yeah. Right. Well, and I think that that's a great point to make, because we are all dealing with. Everybody's dealing with something, right? And the more that I've spoke up, like your story sounds very similar in the things that you're navigating in talking to your friend group that I've experienced in the last bunch of years, in that it's only strengthened the relationships around me in actually opening up and being vulnerable and sharing the things that I've been going through. And it's like everybody is, it's almost everybody's dealing with similar things, just on a different like pendulum, right? And
but nobody's talking about it.
Right.
And that's the weird, and then you realize like just like a simple conversation, it can completely change just like even yourself. Like you feel like a relief. Like for me, having that conversation with my wife, I went to therapy and all these things, and then look, like I think I'm in a unique situation, obviously, just in the music space, but like it brought me to this place now, like I said, where, you know, one of the biggest pop stars in the world follows me, one of the biggest rappers in the world. You know, the Canada's Got Talent thing, right? Howie Mandel on the bus. I've done, you know, the Hamilton Tire guys. I've done all these things that I used to dream about up until 2 years ago. Right. And now all these things are happening just because like I told him, I said those things to my wife.
Yeah, you're vulnerable with your wife, right?
I was drunk.
Yeah. Right.
I wasn't going to say that because that's probably but just so like I just think talking about that, and like I said, it's hopefully that obviously what you're doing too is helping bring that up on a bigger scale, and just to kind of, you know, support, you know, what you're doing on that. And whatever else, like there's nothing that I won't talk about. Yeah.
Right? What has it meant to you now, like to be able to share your story with your following? Now that you've got that following attached to you and the amount of people that are watching your videos and being able to share with them, like how many articles went out around this time that you were like you started to sing and people started to understand that you had that story attached to it and why you sing and what that means, and what has the public's response been to you and your own personal story with mental health and you being vulnerable?
I think at first they thought I was doing it to try to be famous, and that bothered me. And then I think it was it global news? I think it was global news. Karen Lieberman. She reached out to me, and she was the first one to do a news story on me. And they asked why I did it, and I was afraid because at my work too, I didn't want to like say I was suffering from mental health, and they're like, oh, wait a second, and then like I don't know how that works, right? Right. And I didn't want to get in trouble from them. And I when I had the interview, like I'd already had maybe like a couple 100,000 views, like, and then the Drake thing, and that was like, you know, kind of cool. Like I didn't get the news stories from the Drake thing, I got all the social media ones from the Drake thing. But then I sang an Usher song. I sang an Usher song after Drake, and that one went viral. And then that's when the news caught on, and then they saw the Drake thing. Right. And then they all jumped on board after Global reached out. And I was like, so when that happened, they had the media department at my work reach out to me. And they're like, hey, if they say this, what are you going to say? Like, it has to go through a whole bunch of things because I was in uniform for that first one. And I was like, well, this is why I did it. Can I talk about it? And she's like, absolutely. Right. So then when I went there, Karen asked me, and I said, I did it because of this. And, you know, doing it there, because I had just done it for my friends, and I didn't do it like on my socials. Nobody knew. Right. I was just singing, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're doing it to be famous." And look at this old guy trying to relive this dream. And I was like, "Oh man!" But I didn't say nothing. And then once that opened it up, then I could be like, you know what? No, this is why I do it. And then I put a couple posts on there, like this is why I make the videos. Then all the articles came out. Then everybody got it, and then the story came out. And then the Canada's Got Talent thing that just did it more. And I think now everyone knows why I do it. Like I don't get any of those comments anymore.
Right.
I don't get anything like, oh, you're trying to, like, no, I get, like, this is why I did it. It's the first thing you see.
Right.
I do it because this and this. It makes me happy. And then that's it.
Right.
So it enabled me to not, like, be accused of, trying to be, like, clout.
Right.
Clout
Yeah,
was a lot was a lot of the words that people were saying.
Right. And I think it's just really neat, like you had already been alluding to it, but the ripple effect of you having that conversation, and then by you doing that and getting to the point of singing and sharing your creative gifts with the world, how many people have you helped in that, like, and like how many people have you put a smile on their faces over that course of time just by sharing your gifts, all because you were vulnerable with your wife and shared that you were struggling, and what that has meant, and just the fact that, like, we are all one decision away, right? Like one conversation away, whether it's your wife, whether it's a friend, whether it's anybody. So I guess my question is, so the long roundabout question is, what would you tell to somebody that is watching at home and is maybe dealing with a lot of, they're going through a heavy season? What would you tell them?
Talk.
Yeah.
Just like I know, and even if you don't, like, feel comfortable, find somebody. There's people that will listen, right? You know, I tell people, like, my DMs are open. Like, I try, like, not to sound, arrogant or anything, but, like, I get a lot of DMs and stuff like that, but I have a lot of people saying, hey, I felt like this, I felt like that. You helped my daughter, I'm going to show my daughter your story because she tried to commit suicide. Like, I've had a lot of these things, and people in, like, real life recognize me, which is really cool, and, like, their faces light up, and I'm like, hey, I'm just like, this guy is really cool. But it's just, if you have a friend group and they're your friends, they'll listen, right? And they'll do whatever they can to make you feel better. Me and my friend group, we roast each other after we're over it. So it's like, if we're dealing with something, we talk and, like, we help each other out. But then, like, 2 years later, somebody might come and, roast you about it. But as long as it's nothing, like, super serious, right? And I like that dialogue because you laugh about it, like, when it's got over. But people that care about you will listen, and they want you to be the best possible version of yourself that you can be. And you won't know just until you have that conversation. Right. And if you're not comfortable talking to anybody, like I said, go to they have registered or licensed people, like psychotherapists, psychiatrists,
social workers.
And then, those are expensive, but I don't know if there's anything for maybe people that don't have the ability to go there. I'm sure there's got to be something. Right. But like I said, then my DMs are open. And then there's stuff like this, like maybe just like watch things like that, what you're doing, and then you'll see, hey, so much more people are dealing with these things that I thought I was the only one that was abnormal, but I'm not. Right. And then that might give you the confidence to talk to somebody, or support groups. I'm sure there's support groups somewhere. Like I said, it's just, you can't keep it bottled up, because I feel like that's the worst. Right. Because once you bottle it up, and you might, like, one of the thoughts I had was, I can't be alive. I have to do this, this, and this. And, like, if I didn't get to that space, like, I don't think I would have, because, like I said, my kids are what do they say? She said, my kids are my protective barrier or something like that. My protective factors. Right. That kept me from being silly. But if you don't have the confidence, if you just don't put it out there, you won't know. Right. And it's getting past, and that's the hardest part, is talking. And it's super hard. It's not easy. Like like I said, it took me the wine to talk to my wife about it, right? So, that would be my advice to people. Yeah. And DM me, like, my socials are all open. Just DM, like, I've been feeling like this. Like, me too. It sucks. Like, anything I can do, like, anything I can tell you. This is what I learned. This is how, these are some coping mechanisms that I learned. Right. And maybe that helps somebody, and hopefully it helps somebody. But again, like, things like this and things like, a lot of other programs that are out there available are doing, I think, a pretty good job. Right. Not to the full extent that it needs to, because there's still clearly, like, a stigma attached to this, which is so wild, like, especially that it's everywhere. Just like we have the Men's Mental Health Month, is it?
November.
November, and like all these other things, and it's like, I don't know why it's still got the stigma, but it does.
Yeah, right. And I think as men, I don't know how to word it properly, but we need to speak up, because we're losing a lot of men for probably a lot of not very good reasons, and a lot of thoughts that aren't actually real, and all because we don't talk, right?
I've had
And
two people, one in
yeah.
my family and one that was a close family member,
Yeah.
right? That they made some decisions when they were, I guess, in a bad spot, and they're no longer here,
Right.
right? And you know, it sucks. But I can see how people can get there, right? Because I never got to that point, but I can see how people can get
Right.
to that, and like I can see the road to it. It's scary, but you know, you would, like I said, you'd just be surprised how many people are dealing with the same thing.
Right.
And yeah, that's all I can. Really.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, life's tough.
Yeah.
Right. Like life can be very tough,
Yeah.
and if we're really not taught the skills required to navigate life, specifically with like mental health.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of expected to go out into the wild and figure life out, and it's not something that's being talked about. And I think as men, we need to start talking a lot more and being open.
And the thing is, I think, well, what's the, like, if you tell somebody that you're feeling sad, like, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to call you, they're going to say you're, I don't want to swear, but like, you know, they're going to say you're a B word, they're going to say you're weak, and it's like, okay, it's just word. Like, I know words hurt, right? But it's just like, that, in my mind, like, I'm just like, well, they're going to call you a name, and you can just be like, oh, who cares, right? Like, fine, whatever. Or they can say, me too, and now, I've been feeling the same way, and then now all of a sudden there's this connection, like, holy shoot, right? And then that's where these things flourish, and then you don't feel as, like, broken, in my opinion. Again, like, I can't speak for everybody's situation, but like, you know, if we were at the bar and we were just drinking or doing whatever, and then, you know, I thought you were good, you thought I was good, and then for some reason I was like, yeah, man, I've just been feeling really bad. And you're like, yeah, me too. I'm like, holy shoot, man. And then we talk, and then it's like, cool, right? And then
all of a sudden the problem's not as big.
Now that there's somebody else that's dealing with it, and then, you know, it's just, it can feel very lonely. It's a very lonely feeling. I remember I used to go to the soccer games, and I would see other dads out there. I'm like, why can't I be like this guy? He's so happy. He's so, like, look at him. He's interacting with everybody. He just seems like he's got everything probably. Everything's worked out. And then I talked to him a year later. I was like, oh no, you're dealing with this and this and this, right? And it was just like, it's very eye-opening. And hopefully this, like, if this gets out, you know, when people see this, I hope that they can, again, if they don't have anybody, at least they know that I'm dealing with something, and everyone that you brought on the show, that they've dealt with something, and that it's not, like, it's a lot more common than you think.
And there's so much power to naming something, right? The moment we can live in our heads so much that the problem just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the moment you say it, it's like it takes all the power away from it, or it takes some of the power away from it, and makes it more manageable.
Yeah, I agree.
So thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time.